Imagine a cycling team so bad that bike manufacturers didn't even want to be associated with them. For over a century, the British cycling team had almost no wins to their name. Then, seemingly overnight, they started dominating, winning Tour de France titles, Olympic golds, and smashing world records. So what changed? It wasn't a miracle. It was a philosophy, a commitment to getting just 1% better every day. The man behind this transformation, Dave Brailsford, called it the aggregation of marginal gains. He looked for tiny improvements everywhere: the fabric of their uniforms, the weight of their tires, even how the athletes washed their hands to avoid getting sick. These small changes didn't seem impressive on their own, but together they changed everything. James Clear opens Atomic Habits with this story for a reason. It captures the core message of the book. Tiny changes make a huge difference if you stick with them. See, most of us believe that success requires big moves, major sacrifices, or total overhauls. But that's not how real lasting change happens. Instead, it's the little things, done consistently, that shape who we become. Habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Just like money grows over time through compound interest, the effects of your habits multiply as you repeat them. One small good habit might not change your life today or tomorrow, but keep at it, and the impact becomes undeniable. Let's say you improved by just 1% every day. At the end of the year, you wouldn't just be a little better, you'd be nearly 38 times better than when you started. But it works the other way too. Get 1% worse every day, and you slowly decline, often without realizing it, until it's too late. This is why James Clear urges us to stop obsessing over goals and start focusing on systems. Goals are about the outcomes you want. Systems are about the processes that lead to those outcomes. Want to write a book? A goal might be to finish a manuscript, but the system is writing every morning for 30 minutes. Want to get fit? A goal might be to lose 10 kilos, but the system is your daily workout and what you eat each day. Goals can give you direction, but systems are what actually get you there. And here's the truth. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Now here's where it gets deeper. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. Each time you sit down to read, instead of scrolling on your phone, you're reinforcing the identity of someone who values learning. Each time you prepare a healthy meal, you're proving to yourself, I'm someone who takes care of my body. This is identity-based habit formation. Rather than saying, I want to run a marathon, you say, I'm a runner. You build the identity first, then the behavior follows. Over time, the more you act like the person you want to become, the more it becomes who you are. But change isn't always visible right away. In fact, it often feels like nothing is happening. You start a new habit, stay consistent for a few weeks, and nothing. No big win, no dramatic result. This is what Clear calls the plateau of latent potential. It's the period where you're putting in the work, but not seeing the payoff. Most people quit here, thinking their effort isn't working. But real change takes time to surface. It's like heating an ice cube. You're raising the temperature 1 degree at a time, but nothing seems to happen until suddenly it melts. Breakthroughs often come after many silent steps forward. Success is what the world sees, but it's built on the invisible work you did in the background. And that's what Atomic Habits is all about: building a system that works, one tiny habit at a time. You don't need to overhaul your life. You just need to get a little bit better, consistently. Over time, those small wins stack up into something powerful. Because in the end, you become what you repeatedly do. Here we go, continuing in the same engaging, audiobook-style tone. Let's say you want to start waking up early, eat healthier, or read more books. You're motivated, you've set your goal, but a few weeks in, you're back to square one. Sound familiar? James Clear says it's not your fault. The problem isn't you, it's your system. More specifically, it's how your brain responds to cues, rewards, and routines. That's why he introduces something powerful: the 4 laws of behavior change, a simple framework that can help you build better habits and break bad ones. These laws aren't random rules. They're based on how our minds actually work. And once you understand them, you can apply them to any habit you want to build or break. At the core of every habit is a feedback loop built from 4 steps. Cue, something that triggers your brain to start a behavior. Craving, the emotional desire behind the behavior. Response, the action you take. Reward, the outcome your brain remembers. This cycle repeats over and over. The more rewarding it feels, the more your brain wants to do it again. So Clear flips this loop into a practical method. He calls it the 4 laws of behavior change. Make it obvious. Make it attractive. Make it easy. Make it satisfying. If you want to form a good habit, follow these steps. If you want to break a bad habit, invert them. Let's break that down with a simple example. Imagine you want to build a habit of going for a daily walk. Make it obvious. Leave your sneakers by the door. Make it attractive. Pair your walk with a favorite podcast. Make it easy. Start with just 5 minutes. Make it satisfying. Track your walks and reward yourself weekly. On the flip side, if you want to stop late-night scrolling, make it invisible. Put your phone in another room. Make it unattractive. Remind yourself how drained you feel the next day. Make it difficult. Use a lock timer app or move social media off your home screen. Make it unsatisfying. Tell a friend you're quitting and ask them to check in. See how the same system works both ways? But the real power comes when you combine these laws with your identity. Let's say you want to become a reader. Don't say, I want to read 20 books this year. Say, I'm the kind of person who reads every day. Then use the 4 laws to reinforce that identity. Place your book on your pillow. Obvious. Read books you genuinely enjoy. Attractive. Start with just 2 pages a night. Easy. Check off each day you read. Satisfying. Now you're not chasing a number. You're embodying the identity of a reader. And that changes everything. So, what does this all mean? Habits aren't about willpower. They're about design. When something's easy, obvious, and rewarding, you'll do it again. When it's hidden, frustrating, or gives you nothing in return, you'll naturally stop. That's how your brain is wired. And once you start applying these laws with intention, habits no longer feel like a struggle. They feel like part of who you are. Awesome. Let's keep the flow going. You can't change a habit if you don't notice it. That's where everything begins. Awareness. Before you can take control of your behavior, you have to recognize the invisible forces guiding it. That's why James Clear starts with the first law of behavior change. Make it obvious. Most of our habits run on autopilot. You brush your teeth, check your phone, grab a snack. Not because you plan to, but because your brain has learned to respond to certain cues without thinking. So the first step is to bring those patterns into the light. Clear introduces a powerful tool called the Habit Scorecard. It's simple but eye-opening. Here's how it works. Write down everything you do from the moment you wake up to the time you go to bed. Every little thing, scrolling your phone, drinking coffee, hitting snooze, checking email. Then, next to each habit, add a symbol. Plus, if it's a good habit. If it's a bad one, equals if it's neutral. This exercise isn't about judgment, it's about awareness. Once you see your habits clearly, you can start to change them with intention. But awareness is just the beginning. Now you need a way to insert new habits into your routine, and that's where one of Clear's most effective tools comes in. Habit stacking. Here's the formula. After current habit, I will new habit. It's like attaching your new habit to something that's already solid in your daily routine. For example, after I make my morning coffee, I will write 1 sentence in my journal. After I brush my teeth, I will stretch for 30 seconds. After I sit down at my desk, I will put on noise-canceling headphones. This works because your brain already expects the first habit, so you're slipping in a second one right behind it. Think of it like adding a train car to an existing track. You don't need to build momentum from scratch. You're simply riding the momentum you already have. But there's one more key to making your habits obvious. Environment design. We like to think we have full control over our choices, but the truth is, Your surroundings influence your behavior far more than you realize. If there's a cookie jar on the counter, you'll eat more cookies. If your phone is in sight, you'll check it more often. If your gym clothes are buried under a pile of laundry, you'll skip the workout. Change your environment, and you'll change your behavior. Without even trying. Want to drink more water? Put a bottle on your desk. Want to read more? Keep a book on your pillow. Want to practice gratitude? Leave your journal open on the table. Your environment should act as a silent reminder, guiding your behavior without you having to think about it. So instead of relying on discipline, make the cue so obvious you can't miss it. Because when your habits are out in the open, easy to see and ready to go, your brain doesn't have to work as hard to follow through. And that's the key to consistency. Let's keep the momentum going. Let's be honest. If a habit feels boring, painful, or just plain dull, you won't stick with it. That's why the second law of behavior change is so important. Make it attractive. Because the more appealing a habit is, the more likely your brain is to say, let's do that again. Here's the truth. We don't do things because they're good for us. We do them because they feel good. James Clear explains that every habit is driven by a craving, an emotional desire. You don't crave brushing your teeth. You crave a clean, fresh mouth. You don't crave the act of running. You crave the feeling of energy or accomplishment afterward. So if you want to build better habits, you have to find a way to make them feel rewarding from the start. One powerful method? Temptation bundling. It's simple. You pair something you want to do with something you need to do. For example, only watch your favorite Netflix show while exercising on the treadmill. Only scroll social media after you've written 100 words. Only listen to your favorite podcast while folding laundry or cleaning. This works because it ties a feel-good activity to a productive habit, so your brain begins to look forward to the whole experience. You're turning a should into a want. Another big influence on how attractive a habit feels? The people around you. We are deeply social creatures. We tend to adopt the behaviors of three key groups: the close, family and friends; the many, the crowd; the powerful, those we admire. So if everyone in your circle is trying to eat healthy, you'll probably eat healthier too. If your coworkers stay up late answering emails, you'll likely follow their lead. If your role model meditates every morning, you'll feel more inclined to try it yourself. This is why environment isn't just about place, it's about people. Surround yourself with people who already live the habits you want to adopt. Join a book club, follow fitness creators, talk to people chasing similar goals. Because the more you admire and connect with someone, the more attractive their behavior becomes. There's also a trick in how you frame the habit to yourself. Instead of saying, I have to go for a walk, say, I get to go for a walk. Instead of, I need to write, try, I'm the kind of person who writes. This subtle shift rewires your brain to see the habit as a privilege, not a punishment. Remember, emotion creates motivation. If something feels exciting, rewarding, or socially rewarding, it's easier to do and easier to repeat. So don't rely on grit. Design your habits to be enjoyable. Make them something your brain wants to come back to, not something it tries to avoid. Because when a habit feels good, it becomes attractive. And when it's attractive, it becomes automatic. We tend to believe that building better habits is about motivation, that if we just try harder, push more, and stay disciplined, we'll get the results we want. But James Clear flips that idea on its head. In reality, success comes from reducing friction, not increasing effort. The third law of behavior change is simple. Make it easy. Let's start with this truth. Every action you take is a vote for the person you want to become, but not every vote needs to be big. Most days, what matters isn't doing something amazing. It's just showing up. Clear introduces the idea of the 2-minute rule. When you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. Want to read more? Start by reading one page. Want to run regularly? Just put on your running shoes. Want to eat healthier? Chop one vegetable. That might sound silly, even too small to matter. But that's the point. You're building the habit of starting. Big goals can feel intimidating. Writing a novel? That's huge. Writing a sentence? Easy. But once you've written a sentence, your brain often says, well, I'm here. I might as well keep going. Starting is the gateway to momentum, and momentum makes everything easier. This is what Clear calls decisive moments, those little forks in the road that set the tone for the rest of your day. The moment you choose whether to scroll or meditate, to snack or stretch, to work or wait. Master those small decisions, and you shape your future. But there's more to easy than just starting small. You also need to remove friction, anything that makes a good habit harder to do. Want to eat healthier? Prep your meals in advance so it's easy to grab something good. Want to write more? Keep your laptop open to a blank document. Want to work out? Lay out your clothes the night before. Every step between you and your desired action is a chance for your brain to hesitate. Remove those steps, and the habit flows naturally. And the same logic works in reverse. If you want to break a bad habit, add friction. Want to stop watching so much TV? Unplug it or take out the batteries. Want to reduce phone use? Delete the app or put your phone in another room. Make the wrong choice harder and the right one easier. There's a phrase James Clear uses that sums this up beautifully. Standardize before you optimize. Don't worry about the perfect workout plan. Just show up. Don't stress over writing the perfect paragraph. Just write. The goal isn't to do more. It's to make showing up so easy you can't fail. Habits are not built by doing hard things once. They're built by doing easy things again and again until they become automatic. So ask yourself, what's the easiest possible version of the habit you want to build? Start there. Make it frictionless. Make it natural. Because when a habit is easy, it becomes sustainable. And what's sustainable becomes unstoppable. So, you've made your habit obvious, attractive, and easy. But here's the final piece of the puzzle. You have to make it satisfying. Because if a habit feels good, your brain will want to repeat it. This is the fourth law of behavior change. Make it satisfying. Here's the problem. Many good habits feel hard now and only pay off later. Going to the gym? Pain now, results later. Eating healthy? Discipline now, better health later. Saving money? Sacrifice now, security later. On the flip side, bad habits are the opposite. They feel good now, but cause problems later. Scrolling social media, skipping a workout, impulse shopping, all give you instant gratification, but long-term regret. That's why building good habits is hard. We're wired for immediate rewards. So how do you fix that? You make the positive habit feel satisfying right away. One way to do that is through habit tracking. When you visually track a habit, marking a calendar, checking off a box, filling in a habit app, you give your brain a small hit of pleasure. It feels good to see progress. It's a simple, satisfying way to reinforce the habit loop. Jerry Seinfeld famously used this method. He would mark an X on his calendar for every day he wrote jokes. His only goal? Don't break the chain. That's another powerful idea. Don't break the chain. The longer you keep a habit streak going, the more motivated you feel to protect it. That visual proof of progress becomes its own reward. But even if you do break the chain, don't panic. James Clear has a rule. Never miss twice. Everyone slips. Life gets in the way. But the goal is to get back on track immediately. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the beginning of a new habit, in the wrong direction. So focus on consistency, not perfection. If you fall off, you get back up. Another tip? Give yourself a small reward after completing a habit. It could be as simple as checking off a list, saying something kind to yourself, or allowing a short break. Rewards don't have to be big. They just have to be immediate. Because here's the truth. We repeat what's rewarding. And the more your brain enjoys the experience, the more automatic it becomes. And that's the final law. To build lasting habits, make them feel good, stack small wins, track your progress, celebrate the effort, not just the outcome. Because if a habit leaves you feeling proud, satisfied, and in control, you'll come back to it again and again. By now, you've got the full toolkit. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. But James Clear doesn't stop there. In the final stretch of Atomic Habits, he dives into deeper, long-term strategies that help you stay consistent, especially when motivation fades and life gets messy. Because let's face it, the real challenge isn't starting, it's staying on track. One of the most important ideas he explores is the plateau of latent potential. Here's the deal. Progress often feels invisible. You're showing up, doing the work, but nothing's changing. It's frustrating. But that's just the beginning. Clear compares it to heating an ice cube. You warm it from 25 to 26 to 27 degrees. Nothing happens. Then, at 32 degrees, it melts. The breakthrough comes after a long stretch of silent progress. That's why habits can feel slow until they suddenly work. You're not failing. You're just in the valley of delayed results. So keep going. Because the work you're doing is working. It just hasn't revealed itself yet. Another key idea is this: embrace boredom. Top performers don't succeed because they're always motivated. They succeed because they know how to show up even when they're not. Clear writes, "The greatest threat to success is not failure, but boredom." Doing the same workout, writing the same time every day, practicing the same scale. It's not glamorous, but that's the grind where greatness is built. If you can fall in love with the process, especially the boring parts, you win. Now let's talk setbacks. Even the best habits face obstacles. Life gets busy, you travel, you get sick. What matters most is your ability to bounce back quickly. Clear recommends using something called an implementation intention. If situation X happens, then I'll do Y. Example: if I can't go to the gym, I'll do 20 push-ups at home. If I skip journaling at night, I'll write first thing in the morning. This way, you're not thrown off by surprises. You've already planned for them. But there's one more idea that takes habit mastery to the next level: tracking identity, not just outcomes. We often say, "I want to lose 10 kilos," or "I want to make more money." But those are external results. They're not who you are. James Clear's core argument is that the most powerful habits are identity-based. Want to become a healthy person? Prove it to yourself with small wins. Each healthy meal, each walk, each act of self-care is a vote for that identity. Over time, your habits become the evidence of your identity. You're no longer trying to change. You've already changed. So what's the real secret? It's not motivation. It's not willpower. It's not even goals. It's this: build habits that align with who you want to become. Make them small. Make them obvious. Make them rewarding. And then, keep showing up. Because your life isn't defined by big moments. It's shaped by the quiet, repeated actions no one sees. And when you get your habits right, the results take care of themselves. Before James Clear became one of the world's leading voices on habit formation, he was just another person trying to rebuild his life. In high school, a freak accident nearly killed him. A baseball bat to the face put him in a medically induced coma. He had to relearn how to walk, talk, and live a normal life again. And yet, years later, he became an elite academic, an athlete, and a best-selling author. How? Not through one giant leap, but through tiny, consistent steps. That personal story is at the heart of Atomic Habits. It's not about being perfect. It's about making progress, even when no one's watching. So let's bring everything together. You want to change your life. You don't need to move mountains. You don't need to wait for January 1st or some magical burst of motivation. You just need to shift the small things, the things you do every day. Because habits are not the finish line. They're the foundation. And the framework James Clear offers gives you the tools to do it. Make it obvious. Design your environment so the cue is impossible to miss. Make it attractive. Bundle habits with pleasure or positive associations. Make it easy. Start small, reduce friction, and focus on repetition. Make it satisfying. Reward yourself and track progress to stay motivated. Want to read more? Place your book on your pillow. Want to get fit? Put your shoes by the door? Want to meditate? Set out your cushion. It starts small, then it grows. And perhaps the biggest mindset shift? You don't need to chase a goal. You need to embody an identity. Don't say, I want to write a book. Say, I'm a writer, and prove it, one sentence at a time. Don't say, I want to get fit. Say, I'm someone who moves every day. And then do it, even if it's just for 2 minutes. Each habit becomes a vote for the person you want to be. Each vote builds the identity. And eventually, you become that person. So what now? Pick one habit. Just one. Make it obvious. Make it attractive. Make it easy. Make it satisfying. Start tiny. Stay consistent. Track it. Celebrate it. And watch how it rewires your brain, your identity, and your future. You don't need to transform overnight. You just need to show up, one small habit at a time. And that's the essence of Atomic Habits by James Clear. If you've listened this far, you're already planting the seed of change. Because real transformation doesn't begin with a goal, it begins with a single step. And that step, you just took it.